Hi guys. So, first off, I know I've already done a video over my thoughts on Monster High G3. However, that was back when it was first officially revealed and it was more, I guess, a first impression sort of thing, just looking at the first line of signature dolls that came out. And I pretty much stand by most of what I said in that video, but I thought it would be prudent to make a sort of update video now that we've got a few releases out. We've seen the cartoon. We've got a good taste of where exactly Monster High as a brand is heading. If you keep up with my videos, particularly the ones where I go over new releases, you probably already have a pretty good idea of what my overall opinion on Monster High G3 is. But I am limited in what I can say in those videos without going off on all kinds of tangents. So here's a video just putting my overall thoughts into words, because I do have a lot of thoughts. A shocker, I have opinions. The first video I did over G3, it was pretty positive. Aside from just not being terribly interested in every single one of the dolls, I didn't have a ton of complaints, and they mostly came down to just quality and execution type things, but mostly things I personally can overlook as a whole. And I think my feelings are still generally pretty positive, but more mixed, and I'll get into why. I think the way I want to structure this is talking more generally at first. Like, I'll talk about things I like, things I don't like, and then I'll go through the dolls we have so far and talk more specifics. And this is going to be focusing on the G3 dolls. I'm not really going to talk about the Haute Couture or the G1 style holiday releases, because I just kind of consider them their own thing. I don't really have anything to add about them that I haven't said before. So yeah, this is going to be a very casual, just sit down, talk kind of video. No reason to linger forever here in the intro. So let's just get into it, after a brief sponsor break. Today's video is brought to you by America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh. HelloFresh is a subscription meal service that makes cooking at home fun, easy, and affordable. I'm always happy to be sponsored by HelloFresh because I've been a customer of theirs way before they ever decided to sponsor me. Cooking has never been really one of my talents, but HelloFresh really makes me feel like I can cook anything. I also just love how much variety there is. Every week there's 35 recipes to choose from. There's carb-smart options or low-calorie options, and even among those, you can customize your meals with extra or substituted proteins or swapping side dishes. The ingredients are shipped directly from the farm to you in less than 7 days, so you know everything is nice and fresh. And all the recipes are really easy to follow, quick to make, very satisfying, and, in fact, 25% cheaper than grocery shopping or eating takeout all the time. The meal my fiance and I made here was a peanut chicken bowl with garlicky quinoa and smashed cucumbers, which is definitely not something I would ever have thought to make just on my own, and it was certifiably delicious. To try HelloFresh today, just check out the link below in the description for a special limited time discount and free shipping. Thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring me, and let's get back to the video. So, first major compliments. I love the cartoon. Every episode I've watched, I really enjoyed. I think it's really cute. Surprisingly, really funny too. I'm really impressed with the writing. I love the character work. I love the diversity. The voice cast is amazing. I do wish the episodes were a little longer because the pacing does tend to feel a little bit off sometimes. But I know that's not really something they can really help. I just think the premise of Monster High as a franchise doesn't really lend itself very well to 11-minute episodes, so it's not surprising either that the more long-form episodes are some of the best ones. I really like that the show is trying to add more lore and depth to the Monster High universe. That's something I always kind of yearned for in G1. At the end of the day, though, it is a kids' show, and it's very self-aware of that fact. It doesn't really try to be anything it's not. So I do think your enjoyment of the show will be limited to your tolerance for how much you can enjoy things that are obviously made for children, which is not a criticism of the show. I think some people just have a weird idea that Monster High is a much edgier franchise than it ever really was. But it definitely gives me the same vibes as when I watched the old Monster High movies for the first time. Very warm and fuzzy in that sense. I do definitely think if you like the old movies and you have an open mind, you'll like this too. Which, likewise, if you're going into the show and your metric of success is how identical it is to G1's movies or animation, you're going to be extremely disappointed. Personally, I don't really mind any of the changes. I don't think all of them were entirely necessary, but I'm also open to just seeing what new dynamics and character arcs they can play with. Like, for example, Abby, I think they did such a good job of playing around with her character in ways that made total sense. She's not really like Abby from G1, no, but in the context of the world of G3, everything they did for her works really well, and you can see how they used G1 Abby as a building block for that. A lot of the characters, they just feel like very natural evolutions. The characters that I don't think it worked particularly well with, though, are Toralei and Claudine. Toralei, because the show doesn't really have a central antagonist, and the cast as a whole is just a lot nicer than they were in G1. So Toralei stands out as really the only character who is just really mean for no particular reason. Which I don't think is a bad thing. I do love mean girl characters, but I think the cast just needs some other characters who are antagonistic too, so she doesn't stand out as like this particularly nasty character. Because as it is, it does just feel kind of awkward every time she's on screen. And for Claudine, I think she kind of suffers from main character syndrome. So episodes that revolve around Claudine tend to be huge exposition dumps and not a lot of character development. And episodes that don't focus on Claudine, she's just kind of there as an audience stand-in, so the other characters have a reason to explain all the Monster World concepts. So I think for both of them, I would just like to see them try and evolve their characters a little more. But the cartoon is still ongoing. That's something that can absolutely come with time. So, major complaint, the lack of promotion or really communication at all on Mattel's part. So, promotion and advertising, obviously, plays a huge role in how successful a doll line is. Obviously, people have to know something exists before they go out and look for it. And promotion was something that G1 did very, very well. The webisodes served as great advertising. There were a ton of commercials, of promos for the website itself. Outside of dolls, there were a ton of other products you could buy. Even if you weren't actively buying Monster High products, you still knew it existed. But for G3, it has been like total radio silence. Mattel made the initial announcement for the first dolls being released, and then it disappeared for months. No ads, no commercials, no teasers for upcoming lines, barely any promotion for the cartoon. There's hardly any reruns. They're dragging their feet, putting it on streaming so people without cable can watch it. It just really feels like a stark lack of effort, honestly, on their part. Look at MGA with Rainbow High. Their release schedule isn't exactly organized, no, but we usually know when dolls are coming out. The official Instagram is always posting links to releases or pre-orders. There's YouTube ads and commercials for every new main series. They heavily promote the webisodes to the audience. On Monster High's Instagram, between October 5th, 2022, the first official announcement, and the end of February 2023, there are four posts about the G3 dolls, and only one of them is for a line that's not the very first wave. And that just makes me very wary for the brand. And also the fact their releases have just been so strange. There are lines that were supposedly meant to come out months ago that just haven't. There doesn't seem to be any kind of consistent rollout for the dolls. They'll just randomly appear on Amazon for a few hours, vanish, and then ship 2 months later if you were lucky enough to order it. The target audience for Monster High, children and the parents who are actually buying the dolls, they're not insane like I am. They're not constantly checking listings and doll news sites to see what's upcoming. They're not checking their Walmarts every day to see what's in stock. If a doll isn't promoted well and has a bad rollout, they're probably never even going to know that it exists. So, moving forward, I think Mattel needs to build a more consistent schedule for releases. They need to be promoted and advertised, and overall, there just needs to be a better line of communication between producer and consumer of what to buy, what to anticipate, what to look forward to. Like, that's so incredibly important for the longevity of the brand, and I hope they start taking it seriously. Thing I like, the faces. Every new sculpt we've seen so far, I really liked. I think they do a really good job of kind of riding that line between being very stylized and cartoony, and also being pretty glamorous. I thought that with the first line, they could have been a little more inspired with some of the makeup looks, but I think that's something they've definitely improved upon with the later releases. I think they could still take it further, but I think the makeup looks they are doing feel very tailored to the characters, if that makes sense. Like, it does feel like they put a lot of thought into personalizing the makeup looks. I think they need to step it up with Draculaura specifically. A lot of her dolls just have very similar makeup looks. But otherwise, this is one area I'm pretty consistently impressed with. Thing I don't like. And this is a complaint I had in my first video, actually, and I don't feel like they've improved on it as much as I would have liked. A lack of hair variety. I do think the more recent ones are getting a lot better, but overall, there is just a lack of extremely interesting hairstyles. You know, it's a lot of either side parts or middle parts, straight hair, sometimes wavy, a high ponytail if we're lucky. Claudine particularly, a lot of her dolls just have the same exact hair color and style, and out of all the characters to be experimental with hair, it should definitely be Claudine. You know, give her more fun colors, give her natural and protective hairstyles. And Draculaura, give her twin tails, give Laguna tighter curls. I definitely want to see more hair variety moving forward. Even what they have right now is just not enough. I need them to take it further. Mattel is usually pretty good with that. Like, you see a decent amount of hair textures in Barbies, but for some reason with Monster High, it's just been a little bit disappointing. Thing I like. I think the budget dolls are very well done. You know, G1 budget dolls were cute, but they were typically like a printed mini dress, all in a very similar silhouette. But G3 is giving us some pretty interesting budget dolls, and at a pretty wide range of price levels too. They're a bit hit or miss, for sure. Like Draculaura's lower budget doll, probably one of my least favorite G3 dolls, which is a shame because she's one of the only Draculaura dolls with dark lipstick. But I at least appreciate them trying to do unique looks for everyone, even at a lower price bracket. The thing I don't like, how hard the budget dolls are to buy. Like, where are they? I genuinely don't know. People are buying them. I see people buying them, but they don't seem to be anywhere. They just kind of appear. And that kind of fits into my earlier point about just a lack of communication. Thing I like. I love that now that we have a few dolls, we're seeing how consistent they are with giving characters very defined personal styles. And I'm genuinely very impressed with, I guess, how clever some of these design choices have been. And it's beyond what it was in G1, where it's mainly just color schemes and patterns that denoted a character. It's a lot more thorough here. Like, with Frankie, you can tell they love really structured outfits with collars and preppier patterns like plaid and houndstooth, but they also add some edgy elements, especially chains. G3 Frankie loves a chain, and their accessories always really stand out in these very bright neon colors. Claudine, I think her signature doll is actually a bit of an outlier because her later dolls seem to be way more character focused. A lot of her clothing is very 90s inspired, and she likes to mix these more contemporary, more trendy fashion pieces with some clothes that are a little goofier and kind of dated, which I think perfectly encapsulates G3 Claudine. And that's just a few examples. Once it runs for a little longer, I really want to do a video just going through the characters and analyzing their personal styles, which I'm just so impressed that's something I could conceivably do. Like, my props absolutely go to the designers in that area. I think that's all I can really talk about without getting more specific. So let's just go through the dolls. I already talked about the first wave, so I'm not going to go through them again. But starting with the next releases, let's talk about Creep Over Party first. I think this is maybe the first one we saw that was a themed line. It's not my favorite that Monster High has ever done. Like, it's cute. I think the Draculaura doll in particular is very interesting, but I remember just not being extremely impressed the first time I saw these. However, then I saw pictures of them without their robes, and I started liking them a lot more. I think I'm just not extremely inclined to like pajama lines that much, and while I do like how personalized the accessories are, I think this easily could have been a budget release. Twyla kind of stands out here because she's not really wearing pajamas, but I think it was a cute idea for this line to be her introduction. I do think she looks a bit too similar to her G1 doll in a way that kind of makes her just look like a toned down version of that doll, but she's still cute. I was happy to be able to buy her. Between a hit or miss, I would give this line, I don't know, it's somewhere in the middle. It's a little mixed for me. The Frankie and Deuce 2-pack. This Frankie was so amazing to me that they convinced me to willingly pay for a set that included a male doll. Which, to Deuce's credit, he's pretty cute too. I really love that G3 brought back the fact that Deuce is a chef. But yeah, I love this Frankie. It's such a departure from their signature look. Like, I never expected to see Frankie in something like this, but it still suits them so well. And I really love the side glance they gave them. I really hope to see them play more with expressions in the future. I think that would add so much variety to a display. Overall, though, an extremely successful set. Definitely a hit for me. The Ghoul Spirit 6-pack. So this originally retailed for like $125, which I think was massively overpriced. I do think G3, for the most part, is pretty fairly priced, but this one, I can't really justify that. And I did actually like this when I first saw it, but over time, I don't know. I don't like it nearly as much. I think the looks, the outfits, they're pretty cute, but just not very well executed. The quality of these are actually pretty poor compared to the other dolls, and I can definitely live without them. This set is a miss for me, so far I guess we're pretty even between hits and misses. The Draculaura Gorganizer playset. I think this Draculaura is adorable. I think for a playset doll and the standards I've come to expect for a playset doll, she's pretty well done. It's definitely a cute look, and her makeup is really adorable. A little overpriced considering she just comes with like this shallow plastic box and some stickers, but the doll itself, I think, is really nice. So I'll say she's a hit, but a pretty soft hit. A hit I'll get if I'm ever lucky enough to see it on sale. The Day Out budget line. I think these are really great, especially for their price point. I love that Frankie's is referential to their G1 doll through like a G3 lens. Draculaura's outfit to me is a little too similar to her signature doll, but I actually like the skirt and the shoes that she comes with way more than I like the shorts and the shoes from her signature look. But yeah, this one's a hit for me. Skulltimate Secrets Wave 1. I still vividly remember seeing these for the first time. They just absolutely blew me away. I think it's such an incredible line with some extremely strong design concepts. And I can tell they're even like putting thought into clothing pieces that will mix and match well with outfits from other dolls, which is something I never felt that you could really do very often with G1, because the clothes were so heavily themed to the line, which is something I really love about G1, don't get me wrong, but I love that with G3 there's just a lot more opportunity for playing around with the clothes. I can just tell that the designers had so much fun with this line. I think they nailed the aesthetic they were going for. It definitely represents what I personally really love about Monster High, which are looks that are fashionable, but also very character focused and not afraid to be campy or fun, Skulltimate Secrets 1, definitely a hit for me, no questions asked. The Monsteristas budget line. I already said I'm not a big fan of that Draculaura, but Frankie and Claudine, I think, are pretty nice. I actually think that Claudine is genuinely very, very adorable. So I'll say for these, I am pretty mixed on them. Skulltimate Secrets Wave 2. Absolutely stunning. And now we're starting to see them get more experimental, especially with the colors. I do think the theming could be a little stronger. This is supposed to be a winter line after all. And I'm not a huge fan of the cellophane pieces for some of the dolls, but this line has some of my absolute favorite pieces, and overall, I think it's incredibly cool. I'm so excited for these. Definitely another hit. The Claudine Boutique Studio. I think a lot of the pieces she comes with are very cute, but as a full set, I don't know if they go particularly well together, and the Claudine doll isn't different enough from her past dolls for me. I do think she looks so incredibly adorable in the jumpsuit, but I'm not sure yet if I want to pay for the entire set, if I'm not certain I'll be using all of the clothes. So I don't hate her by any means, but I am going to say I'm mixed on her. Abby Abominable, she looks so good. I'm so excited for her. I do have the same criticism for her that I had for a lot of the first signature dolls, which is just that I think they were a little too literal in her design. Like, a big snowflake on her shirt and snowflakes on her pants. But the look as a whole, I think, comes together really nicely. And I think Abby just looks phenomenally good in this specific shade of purple. She's a hit for me. Claude Wolf, he's cute, he's doing nothing wrong, but he is a boy doll, and personally, not very interesting to me. So, he's a miss. I don't think he's a bad doll, just for me, I don't think I'll be buying him. But I am very pleased to see that they gave him tight curls. It shows that they are capable of it. Gorganizer Cleo. I don't know what it is. Like, I know this is a very simple look, but I am just so enamored with her. Something about the color combination with the makeup and her hair color, it just works. It works so well for me, and she's actually one of my most anticipated releases, which, like, logically, I know she shouldn't be, but I don't know. She's a hit. The Laguna Blue Spa Day playset. They're definitely giving Laguna the most fun makeup looks of anyone else, and I think she's really cute. I like that she looks like she'll fit right in with the creep over line, but I don't know if I need her, you know? There's definitely Lagunas I like more than her, and it's not like hair chalk is gonna do anything for me. So I'm gonna say she's a miss. Again, not because I think she's a bad doll, but just because I don't know if I ever see myself buying her. And that brings us to Monster Ball, which I love. I adore. I think this line is so cool. I love that it's very 80s inspired in like an extremely literal way. Like, this line is very divisive, I've noticed, and all the things that people tend to think are ugly are the things that are actually pretty accurate to 80s fashion. So, personally, I love the way they incorporated those elements. The makeup looks are amazing, and this Claudine, oh, she looks so good. She is incredible in this look. There's some details in the line as a whole that I definitely think I need to see in person to see if they're actually as well executed as they look in the stock photos. But for now, I'm definitely calling this line a hit. So, where does that leave us with Monster High G3 as a whole? Both very optimistic, but also a little afraid, because as G3 progresses, I find myself being impressed more and more with what they're able to do. I think the designers are absolutely pushing the limits of what they're able to accomplish, and I want nothing more than to see how they're able to grow and evolve what they've already done, because the talent, the spirit, the love for Monster High, I think is definitely there. I think they have all the tools they need to succeed and make Monster High G3 a huge success. However, that's not going to mean anything if Mattel doesn't allow them to live up to that potential. I don't want to see this potential wasted because the parent company can't promote it properly or distribute the dolls to the people who will buy them. And I don't want to sound like I'm saying it's the end of the world, because it does seem like, despite all that, Monster High G3 is selling pretty well. So I just hope, moving forward, Mattel gives them everything they need to live up to that potential they've already set. Because I love G3, I really, really do. I'm happy with what I've seen so far. I'm not gonna love every single doll, but I didn't love every single G1 doll either, and that's fine. So now it's your turn. Let me know all your thoughts down below, what you think of G3, what your favorite dolls are so far, and also which ones are your least favorite. What would be your advice to Mattel or to the designers moving forward in how they can improve the line? Have you watched the cartoon? Do you like it? Hate it? Tell me all about it. Thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video, and for you guys, just be sure to like and subscribe for any future fashion doll content. Thank you.